Welcome back. Important business commentary. Shireen Bhan is in conversation with the Steel and Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia. Listen in.
Can you hear me, Shireen? Can you hear me?
Mrs. Scindia, can you hear us?
Yeah. So we were in the month of July in the monsoon season, which is the most sort of lull period for demand for the steel sector, understandably, because construction and everything else comes to a halt. And therefore, through that period of iterations and deliberations, we took a conscious decision with all hands on deck. The steel industry, government, whether it's the steel ministry or the coal ministry, the finance ministry, that we would watch how the steel prices react when demand starts taking off in the festive season. And once we have some sort of confidence level that steel prices are not again going to go on a northward trend, then we will certainly evaluate this. That's point number one. Point number two, we were also tracking raw material prices, because as you're aware, iron ore and coking coal form almost about 60 to 70% of the production cost for the steel majors as well as for the secondary steel sector. And those commodity prices, after reaching a peak, had started falling tremendously. And we were apprehensive that maybe those prices also, as international forecasters had put in place, may start rising again. So there would be multiple pressures on the steel industry with regard to pricing. And so we were dynamically monitoring that. And I had committed to the steel industry that we will take a view one way or the other in the month of November. And in the month of November, through our multiple deliberations with the Coal and Mines Ministry, with the Home Ministry, with the Commerce and Industry Ministry, and finally with the Finance Ministry, we took that view that the time has come now that we need to remove this export duty. Both, let me emphasize, with regard to the steel industry and the steel sector with respect to the 9 HSN codes, but also in terms of the raw materials, which is iron ore greater than Fe content of 58, less than Fe content of 58, as well as pellets. So the move has been across the board, vertical integration from raw material to finished product, where in the case of iron ore, it has been removed completely in the area of less than 58. Greater than 58, right. It's been reduced from 50% to 30%. Pellets have been removed completely. And the 9 HSN codes for steel products, the 15% export duty has been removed completely.
Yeah, you talked about how there have been deliberations on interministerial deliberations as well as deliberations with industry, and finally the government deciding to take this call in the month of November. Mr. Scindia, I want to understand from you, in your conversations with industry, what is the feedback in terms of inventory build-up, inventory pile-up, and now destocking on account of the export duties being reversed? What is it that industry has left on your table by way of feedback? Because it's also a globally challenging environment that the steel industry is currently faced with. If I were to take a look at the numbers, Nomura has put out a report on how exports are down 66% between April 22 to about October 22, and in fact at the lowest monthly level of exports since May of 2016. So it is a challenging environment. What did industry place on your table by way of feedback?
So if you look at the international environment, in which I include India, at this point of time, the commodity cycle peaked about 2.5 months ago. And since then, whether it's coking coal or iron ore, prices have fallen off with regard to raw materials ranging between 30% to almost 55% in terms of value. Coking coal has come off from $600 to almost $300. So raw material prices have come off exponentially. On the other hand, steel pricing is governed by 2 factors. One is the raw material input costs into steel making, and the second is based on demand pull and therefore impacting supply push. Now, internationally, demand pull has contracted tremendously for multifarious reasons, which you must have elaborated many times during your show for all commodities worldwide. The fact that many economies are quote unquote near recessionary trends, the fact that infrastructure spend in many international economies has actually fallen, the fact that China has also not been able to ramp up demand. But conversely, the situation is very different in India. If anything has kept the steel sector going as far as India is concerned, with a capacity of almost 150 million tons per annum and a production of almost 121 million tons per annum, it's actually the domestic demand, driven by Prime Minister's huge push on infrastructure. The fact that public spending on infrastructure is close to about 10 lakh crores this year. The fact that there is a very robust demand cycle, which after decades has hit almost about 10.6% in terms of increase in demand for steel. And therefore, the domestic demand, what is shoring up steel industry to a great extent.